Are you aware of your everyday thoughts and the power behind them? On today's show, we're going to be talking about the power of your thoughts and how they create your life experiences.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Manifestation Mindset, where we talk about the mindset of manifesting, overcoming emotional challenges, and breaking through the limitations that hold you back so you can create the life that you truly want. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia, and we go live on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific. So if you want to subscribe to the show, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you like our episodes, give us a thumbs up. And remember to click that bell icon so you can get notifications of when we go live.
And throughout today's episode, if you're new and you'd like to join in, we are live here. If you're watching us live, I'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments. If you have any questions, you can put those here into the comment section. And if you're watching the replay, we'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down into the feed as well, because we love your interaction. Anything that you want to know, you are more than welcome to ask us, and we will reach out and get back to you. So you can put that here into the stream. And so if you're new, let us know that you're here and you're watching. We'd love to hear from you. And on today, we're talking about thoughts and the power of our thoughts. And before we get into that, Veronica is going to do just a brief little reading for us from some cards that she got.
So I have these little cards. They're little guidance cards, and they're numerology guidance cards. So numerology is everything. Everything really is numbers, and every number has a like a description of what it means. So sometimes, we're driving in our cars and we see 444, 111. Just different numbers that really pop out to us, and so it's pay attention to that and see what you get. So the card that I chose today is called Self-Love, and it's the number 61. There's the card, and it says this card indicates a need to focus your attention on loving and believing in yourself. By drawing this card, you are being encouraged to make your relationship with yourself your number one priority, as this is the key to happiness and manifestation of your dreams. Rather than dwell upon your shortcomings, you must accept and embrace who you are. It is now time to start treating yourself like a friend by replacing your negative self-talk with positive affirmations. Statements that affirm that you're lovable, worthy, and perfect, just as you are, help raise your energy vibration and improve your life circumstances. Set aside time to write down all the things you admire about yourself, such as your sense of humor, your smile, or your capacity to love. Every little thing counts, and nothing is insignificant or minor. In order to improve your current situation, you are being asked to adjust to and harmonize with the natural rhythm and cycles of your life. Cycles that are encouraging you to love and believe in yourself. Remember, you're an ongoing work of progress, and you didn't choose to come here to be the perfect person with the perfect life. Everything in your life is a reflection of what you believe about yourself. So nurture yourself with love. And then the affirmation is, I love and believe in myself and make my dreams come true. And this is the perfect card for today's subject. And it's our thoughts. Like, what do we think about ourselves? What do we think about others? And, sometimes that negative talk can get in the way. And, you just kind of dwell on certain things that aren't really doing you any good. So this is a reminder to all of us to really embrace who we are and where we are right now, and don't focus on all the negative stuff that's around us.
Yeah, because I realized that over time how powerful our thoughts can really be, and that concept of that self-talk, self-love. These are constant belief systems. These are all a process of our thoughts that we have and how we view the world around us, how we view ourselves, our talents, our abilities, our appearance. And over time, as we are born, and even as we go on through life, like, we are constantly being conditioned by all the information that's going into our eyes, our senses, and our mind has to make sense of that. If you think about it, there's so much information, so many bits of information. It's almost, I think it's in like the trillions of bits of information that we absorb every single day. And our mind is constantly filtering, deleting any information that may be unimportant. And it's only going to take in a very small amount of information, even though there's so much that's being thrown at you. And so what that means is we are constantly distorting, deleting, and all the things that are coming to us. And this is where we can all create things like false belief systems in our life. Things that are told to us, things we see on TV, and without questioning and using our reasoning factor of our mind, is a lot of people run on default and just accept the things the way they are. I can't do that because I'm this age, or I'm not good at this, so there's no hope. And these types of things that we think about all the time can really hinder us in what we were capable of doing.
And for example, we were all kids, and sometimes there's kids that are a little more hyper than others, and maybe they have a different way of learning. So if the teachers are trying to teach kids the same way of learning to all the kids, for the ones that are, have a very vivid imagination, and they're like wanting to use their hands, to just sit down and read something or to listen to someone might not work. It's like
Mhm.
sometimes kids need the hands-on. So if there's only one way of teaching and they don't really open it up to the different ways that kids learn, it's difficult for some of those kids. So then that's when you see like these hyper kids, and they just can't stay still, or they get up and start walking around. There's a lot of energy there, and a lot of times they're told like, oh, they're put these labels on them. So you have ADD or ADHD, and all these different things. And then they're put on medication and all that. But it's really like finding the way that they learn and teach them in that sense. But um, so when they're put these labels, then they're probably thinking, oh, there must be something wrong with me. At such a young age, that's when things like that start. Or
Mhm.
you're not smart because you got a D or an F on your exam. And then they're creating this like the story about who they are, but they're not really it doesn't really help when all these labels are put
Yeah, and because if that's
on
repeated
them.
often, then as children, the children will take that as, wow, that must be true because they're saying that, and they're saying it probably more than once. And so what's going to happen is the way they've conditioned their mind is they will repeat that, and they will actually create experiences. If it's like they're not good in school, they don't get good grades, and they always fail on tests. Well, if that's always said to them, then there's really no effort to study because their mindset says, they're affirming to their mind, I'm not smart enough. And so when they see that D or the F or anything that would be considered a negative grade on a test, they see that, and that's just going to reinforce the image or the vision that they see within their mind about themselves, and they play that out, not understanding or realizing that that's just a perception of, well, maybe I didn't do so well today on this exam or whatever it is you're focusing on, but there's a way that I can improve. And so if there's no possibility, if they're saying that I'm dumb, then there's no effort. There's no, well, I'm going to try to do things better. I'm going to try to be smarter, realizing that they can just learn a little bit more. It might take a little more effort than some other people. But all that kind of effort or trying factor just goes out the door because they just accept it that's the way it is. And we've had many colleagues, clients, and friends that have had these situations in their life and then realized at one point in their life, wow, I'm not that person. I believed this for so long, and then by just changing something, they were able to actually recreate and become smarter, become happier because they changed the way that they thought about themselves.
So when it comes to the power of thought, what are you thinking on an everyday basis, or are you even aware of your thoughts on an everyday basis about yourself or about others, or even about the environment you're in or your circumstances? Like, are you looking and focusing energy on the things that you don't want to see, on the things that you don't like? Now that's where, it gets a little tricky because you're giving attention to something you don't want. If it is something that you don't want. Like, say you live in a house, and maybe it's not the dream home that you desire, but you have a house. But you're focusing on all the negative things, all the things that are broken, or all the things that you don't like about it, the little creaks in the floor, whatever it is, and you're constantly giving energy to that and complaining about it. I don't like this. I don't like that. And now you're giving so much energy to things that you don't desire in your life. But in order to create change and to see what you do want, you have to shift that energy into something that you do want to see. So something that you can do is maybe look at houses that you desire. Look at a dream home that you really want, and maybe from the kitchen to the bedrooms to the restrooms, and you can focus your energy on something like that you actually desire versus all the wrong things that are going on in the house that you have now, because it's a sense of gratitude that um, that you have to have in order to manifest uh, what you really want, which is like a dream home.
Or speaking of dreams, because we hear our little dog's having a nice little dream right now, and she's barking in her sleep. If you hear a little noise, that's what's going on. I don't want to disturb her. So, but yeah, that concept of what are we focusing on, and we talk about our beliefs, what we believe about us, what we believe, how the world is in our own viewpoint, because everybody lives in their own world. As I mentioned earlier, we're talking about everybody's receiving all these bits of information. Well, each individual person is receiving their own information and creating their own world around that. Just like two people can say this, can see the exact same situation or be in the same place, and they're going to perceive the situation probably completely differently. Or how are they going to react to that? And so that
Mhm.
starts to create our belief systems, and our belief systems are just thoughts that we think over and over again. And one thing I learned from one of our mentors, Bob Proctor, was which he got from one of his mentors. It says like in order to change our belief system, we have to go back and evaluate our thoughts. And if we constantly go and evaluate our thoughts often, our belief about that thing will usually change. So here's an example. You probably had a situation in your life where you believed something to be true. You've always did it this way, I always thought that. And maybe it started something you learned as a kid. And then later on in life, either through schooling or through more understanding and education, you learn that that wasn't necessarily true. And like, oh my God, I've been doing it this way. I thought it was, this is the way I needed to do it, or this is what was actually happening. And so it says, no, this is what really happened. But it was in our perception at the time. And as children, the reasoning factor hasn't been fully developed yet. And so a lot of times, how we perceive things, if we don't have any sense of it, then we're going to make up a story in our own mind without having all the facts and the figures in front of them to be able to understand it. And so, what programming are you still running on? And what programming are we still running on? We have to be able to evaluate that because our thoughts about things send off energy, as Veronica
Mhm.
mentioned earlier. And Raymond Hollowell, in his book, Working with the Law, mentioned that thoughts travel about 186,000 miles per second, which is way faster than the speed of sound. And so as we're thinking about something, we're actually sending off an energy. And by law of attraction, what we send out through our thoughts, we will attract more like of that.
So have you ever thought about someone and then they call you on the phone? Like it's like you have a thought about a person. It's like that thought wave goes out and then all of a sudden they're calling you and you're like, "Oh, I was just thinking about you." And that happens all the time. And so that's how fast, your thoughts go, and when you talk about the speed of a thought,
Hmm.
it's really really fast. So you can be in one part of the world, think about someone, and then the other person way across the other side of the world picks up the phone and calls you. So that's how fast that travels. So also with the types of thoughts that you have, like I mentioned earlier, are they positive? Are they negative? And that really will determine what your circumstances are or what they're going to be. Because if you're if most of the day you're thinking negative thoughts, then you're probably going to see more negative things in your life or more of the things that you don't want in your life. So
Hmm.
really pay attention to that and look at how you're viewing things, how you're seeing other people. Are you complaining about other people? Are they complaining about you? So it's like sometimes you could say, oh, that person complains a lot and they're complaining about this and that, but then you're complaining about that person that's complaining. Think about it. So it's like, just accept who they are and how they are, and, send love to that person. And, when it comes to thoughts about everything, is try to see everything through eyes of love. Like when you see a person doing something that you don't like, or that you don't agree with, it's like all you can do is send that person love. Don't get caught up in what they're doing. Don't get caught up in, well, they're doing this and they're doing that. It's like, no, you have to, just leave that part aside and just look at them from a different perspective, because then you're going to get emotionally caught up in it, and now your vibration is going to lower, and everything that you don't want is, you're going to see it just even more.
Yeah, and if you want to know, like, what your thoughts are, because you have so many thoughts throughout the day, and it's a little challenging to try to identify and pick apart each little thought you have every single second. It'd be overwhelming. And so, really, your 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 thoughts are based on what you're focusing on and what your attention goes to. And so, if your attention is going to something of love, maybe you're reading a good book, you're focused on that. You're not thinking about anything else at the time, because you can only focus on one thing at a time. And so, pay attention to how you feel and notice, right now, do I feel good or do I not feel good? And you use your feelings as the guidance system to kind of tell you, if I don't feel good, okay, if I'm not feeling good, if my thoughts are dictating the way that I feel, then I have to think, if I'm not feeling good, what am I thinking about? And when you start to analyze, you'll notice, oh, I'm thinking about all the wrong that's going on in the world, or I'm thinking about, where my next paycheck is going to come from, or, what's going to happen with my health. So many different scenarios. You're going to need to pay attention to that. But you use your feeling, how you feel on the inside, your body awareness, to let you identify what you're paying attention to. And you'll notice is, when you start to switch your focus and attention on the things that you want, and you were talking about this earlier, is, the house scenario, is seeing everything that might be wrong, is then focus on what it is that you do want to see. Focus on what, and I've had this experience before when,
Hmm.
when we were in our previous place, and you can say, oh, well, the place either was a mess or wasn't, 100% to our liking, but it was the place we were at the time. And rather than focusing on the negative, because it doesn't make you feel good, it's okay. We were practicing this. What would we like to see? And what could we do to make this place seem more lively, more abundant? And so we rearranged furniture. We took the focus and time to maybe clean up, and rather than complain about, maybe like dirty dishes in the sink, well, the solution would be, let's wash the dishes or create some new habits. And so we were able to look at all these different things in our own life and realize that if we just change our focus and attention on what our solutions are going to be. If there's something in your life that right now that you're unhappy with, there's a solution for that. But the more you focus on what you're unhappy with, you're going to just keep seeing that, and it's going to be right there in front of your face, rather than, okay, here it is. Then let me just change. What do I want to change? What could I do to change this situation to better me and also other people around me?
Yeah, it all starts in thought, and if the bottom line is, if you're thinking negative, you're going to see more negative. If you're thinking more positive things, you're going to see more positivity. But sometimes people say, well, I do think positive and I do visualize, but some people might do that for maybe 2 to 5 minutes out of the entire day, and then the rest of the day they're maybe pointing out all the flaws in someone else, pointing out all the things they don't like, or maybe they're driving and they're pointing out all the bad drivers out there. It's just a practice, and an awareness of how we're thinking. And the more you can be aware of how you think, then you're like, oh wow, I didn't realize that I thought this way, or that I think so negative. But not just about others, but about yourself. So if there's something that maybe you don't understand, and you beat yourself up and call yourself dumb or stupid, that's bringing yourself down, and you're affirming that that's what you are, but in reality you're not. It's just a thought that, maybe it was created, like I mentioned earlier, when you were a child. And I hear people talk about that way, but about themselves, but it's really like, just affirming to them, like, you're not that.
Hmm.
You are smart, or you are, you just don't understand that at the moment, and there's always room for growth, and we all
Hmm.
have room for
Yeah. And once we learn and change our understanding, and sometimes we need outside help for this,
growth.
because we can't always see our own mirror. But sometimes having some outside help that can show us, hey, these are the things that I hear you saying, or the things that I see you doing. Let's try to change that up a little bit. Let's switch your focus a bit. And things that have helped us. Veronica was reading number cards earlier, and she had mentioned sometimes we see things like the numbers 444 or 1111 or 333. We're really big into the numbers because they've had a lot of validity in our life and the lives of others that we know. And one of the things that we see, like we're driving around, maybe you see a license plate, and the last three numbers of that plate say 444 or 333. In the world of numerology and numbers, they say those are considered master numbers or angel or spirit numbers. And the way I like to look at it, again, this is the way I perceive it, is, anytime I see that in those numbers, it's a reminder, like pay attention. Pay attention to what your thoughts are right now. Are they in a good space or are they in a negative space? And it's that moment where you can stop, and if you find, oh my God, I'm thinking about something not so good right now. Let me change my focus. And you have to practice that until your default is focusing on all the things that are going really, really good. Because it's a practice. If you are someone who, when you start to be aware of this, you start to notice that, wow, I do worry about things. I do pay attention to all the things that are going wrong in the world. That's just conditioning. And you've been conditioning yourself like that for a very long time. And to try to change that overnight, in a day, in a week, 21 days to do a habit, it's going to be there for a while. And you're going to have to really work at this until it becomes natural for you and your new default.
And sometimes, we pick it up from our parents, from our friends growing up. And if you were conditioned that way because you heard parents maybe judging other people or maybe even judging themselves on things, then you're like, oh, that's just what we do. And then the children will start to pick that up. And, sometimes it's we don't realize that until we get older and we're like, oh, wow, like I didn't realize that I grew up in that environment. And some
Hmm.
people had a complete different environment where they could have had all the positivity in their life, and parents were positive and more encouraging instead of discouraging. Because, like, if a kid does something wrong, instead of calling them a bad name, maybe encourage them, like, hey, it's okay, next time, try it this way. And sometimes kids want to learn the hard way, and
Hmm.
they might not listen to the way you're telling them. They want to do it themselves, but that's okay because even though you're letting them know, they still have to have the experience of like, okay, that didn't work. I'm gonna try it dad's way or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's okay though. Like it's allowing them to be who they are in the moment.
Yeah, because all of this starts as we're children.
Hmm.
And when Veronica and I are working with our clients and helping them to uncover or release things that are preventing them from moving forward into creating what they want, a lot of that old conditioning, all the old thought patterns that we have to help uproot and switch out, a lot of that starts from childhood. And it's at least that first 10 years of life, they're wide open, and whatever that their environment was, all that information was going in without being checked on. And now that becomes their reality, their belief system, until something comes along, as we were talking about earlier, that challenges that belief system, and they realize, wow, that's not really true. Or wow, I used to think that I was not so great, or I wasn't smart enough, or I wasn't athletic enough, or fast, whatever that is. And until you come across a situation that says, "Wow, I actually can be smart because I was able to do this. I just changed my way of doing things." Because we talk about the power of thought, and we mentioned a few things, and you pay attention to your thoughts by what you feel. But your thoughts are going to create the feelings. If you're thinking about something that's very you could perceive to be bad, it's going to make you feel bad. And based on your emotional response to that, that's also going to dictate your behavior, your mood, your attitude. And depending on how you're feeling and what you're thinking about, your behavior is going to dictate the actions you take. Whether you take action on something, you don't take action on something, good action, bad action, whatever it is, it's your action step. And then that's going to turn into your results. And that's how we create our experiences in our reality.
All right. So next time we start, going into that negative talk about ourselves or about others, really have that awareness, or maybe there's something that like a little something that like maybe just pay attention and have the awareness to tell yourself, okay, let's turn this around and switch it up and start thinking more positive because it's so easy to go down the downward spiral.
Absolutely. We hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode of The Power of Your Thoughts. And hopefully that stirs a little bit of ideas in your mind when you realize, wow, my thoughts are very powerful. And today could be the perfect day for you to start really paying attention and changing any thoughts that may not serve you what you want. Keep the ones that are serving you, but identify anything that's not serving you, making you feel bad. It could be affecting other people. And when you learn to change your thoughts and the way you think, you're going to change the way you feel. You're going to do different things. You're going to see different results. And just notice what happens around you. And you practice with this till you have the experience. Veronica and I have had our own experiences, so we understand how powerful this can be. But this is new to you. Practice, train yourself. If you need guidance, you can reach out to us, and we can help you with that. And that's what we do with our clients. And so, thank you guys for joining us today. We are live here every Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific time. If you guys want to join us, just make sure to subscribe to the channel.
So click that button that says
There it
subscribe.
is.
And if you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. And remember to click that bell icon so you can get notified of when we go live.
Yeah. And so I hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode, and we will see you next time.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye.